Hello, welcome back to another pen talk. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for dialing me in on the YouTube dial and following me as I explore my amazing world of pens, a world that continues to get larger and larger, hopefully still interesting. At least it's interesting to me. And my interests are something that I enjoy sharing. So here we have a pen to share. Yes, it's a metal pen, probably made of some type of stainless steel. You may say there's no markings on it. You may say that's a pretty substantial clip, but it's nice and spring-loaded, so it works well. But if we look at the top of the cap, we'll see some engraving. HongDian 516D LT. Interesting. Obviously, as you know me, it was an eBay purchase. Here's the eBay listing. It arrived relatively quickly, about 3 weeks. And when I started doing my research on this, I found so many different designations for this pen. And that engraving on the back of the cap, here's some different examples of it. So I don't know exactly why there's different engravings. I don't know what may differ from those different models, but that's what I see. It's a pull-off cap. Requires just one pull to remove the cap. We'll see a nice textured section. Yes, it's a metal section, but it's textured, and it feels good in the hand. I certainly wish that everybody doing a metal section would do one like this. That's certainly a different nib. Interesting feed that is special for that nib. Yes, there's some markings on the nib, and yes, the nib is branded Chinese characters and English characters. We unscrew the barrel, and it unscrews easily, but a lot of turns, which I think is good. We'll find a generic converter. Fits well. Fits nice and deep. Yes, it had a spring in it, but we took it out. We'll see that later on in the video. So why did I order this pen? It's a slim metal pen. I just wanted to see what it was like. It fits well in the hand as is, and as you can tell from the back of the barrel, it's designed to post. And it posts securely and makes for one long pen, and you feel that cap at the end. And it is secure. So let's explore this pen, and then we'll ink it up and see how that interesting nib writes. The pen came in this cellophane sleeve. We'll show you the Google translation of those Chinese characters. And this was just inside of a padded envelope. Minimal shipping, but effective. The pen arrived safe. Some little cellophane sounds for those that might enjoy them. So a few viewers have asked about what do I do to flush. Well, I have a number of these syringe bulbs. You can buy them from many of the pen suppliers, Anderson Pens, Goulet. Just look them up. And this is my soapy water solution. And this is just flushing that soapy water solution through the feed and the nib. I think the flow looks pretty good. You can see there's a lot of water in there, a lot of solution in there. And then as we get to the end, we get bubbles. The next thing I do is the same type of flush in clear water just to make certain that there's not a lot of soap residue, and then we're ready to ink it up. Here we have the HongDian 516 disassembled. I pulled the converter apart and this metal collar just slips off because I get rid of these springs that they put inside of converters, because to me, I don't really find them to agitate the ink well. And secondly, when you're changing inks, they just collect ink and make it a lot more difficult to clean out when you're changing ink. So therefore, it gets removed and tossed. The section and nib are one piece. I have no desire to try to remove that nib or pull it out or unscrew it. We'll just see how it writes. It's a specialty nib, so it's not like we're going to get a replacement for it. The pen just has a good feel to it. Very well made. I think we need to explore the cap. Here again, with some diffuse sunlight coming in, we're going to look inside this cap. Again, the pen is just very well made. Interesting how they put the identification at the top of the cap finial. If we look inside, we'll see it doesn't appear to be a liner, but it appears to be pretty well sealed up. There might be a liner there at the very top, and it looks like there may be a ledge there to seal against the section. We'll find out when we get it inked up. So that's the X-ray, the LED X-ray look on a metal pen. Doesn't quite do the same as a nice tortoise cellulose acetate. I said I'd toss the springs, but I don't. I have a bag full of them. The early pen BBS converters had a spring and they're easy to take apart. There's also, you can see, a round ball in there, which I also removed because I don't think it does much to agitate. So this is my collection of things I removed from converters. I know I said I wasn't going to pull out the nib and feed, but curiosity got the best of me. So I pulled out the nib. Nothing special about it. It has those kind of like, I call them feet at the end. And they do fit into a particular spot on the feed. So as you push the nib back, it stops. You know, there's how the feed is kind of cut out there. I tried to see if that piece unscrewed, but it doesn't. So that's how it looks for those that are curious like me. So those that worry about curiosity and felines, I had to check. And I see glue holding in that nib assembly. So it may be threaded in place, that would be my guess. And this seems to be something that a number of pen makers do. I don't know exactly why. If we look at the inside of that collar, it doesn't appear to have any flat spots or any thing to orient the nib in a certain direction. So I'll put it in, see how it fits, call it a day. This is the ink I chose. I've used this ink quite a bit recently. It's a nice permanent blue-black. And I got a very full fill on that converter. I went up and down 3 times. But one of the advantages of getting rid of that spring is that spring takes up a lot of room, so you can't put the piston all the way down. So you pull up a lot of air, and it's much more difficult to get a full fill with that spring in it. That's my third reason why I removed the springs. Now we come to that all-important part of the video. How does it write? So obviously before we do that, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the pen. Number one, it's a really nice, slim, all-metal pen. That's its plus side. At times when I was carrying certain notebooks around, they couldn't take a thick fountain pen, so this barrel diameter would fit well in there. The fact that it's pretty good heft to it and it's all metal, it has a feel to it, it's going to last forever type of thing. So that's the plus sides. The cap is secure, comes off with a tug. That section is tiny. You have to think about it like holding a wooden pencil. We'll give you those section dimensions. Is it a section that I like? Nope. Is it a section I can live with? Yeah, of course. I've written with many, many wooden pencils, ground them down to the stubs, got a new one, started writing again. And you can hold it anywhere. That step up you don't really feel. And even though it does have a texture to it and has those lines in it, that section can get slippery. Certainly not as slippery as the barrel, or certainly not as slippery as some other metal sections which I've written with, but you can do it. We give you the weights of the pen, and that's with ink. I'm not going to post it. We saw how it posts, and it makes for a very long pen, and it fits fine in the hand lengthwise without posting. And if I do post it, it'll bang against the tripod and provide unnecessary noise that someone may say, what is that noise? So let's put this nib on paper and see how that 54th Massachusetts ink works in this tiny nib. So this nib works fine. I'd say works very well. It's a good nib. Is it a nib that you're going to flex or anything? Absolutely not. It's stiff. You get a little bit of feedback on this Fabriano paper, which is fine. But it is effortless to write with. Requires no pressure, lays down a nice line. I would put it in the fine to medium, looking at that line. It certainly would make a great everyday writer, carrying around, knock-around pen. The converter is a converter. It holds what it holds, probably under a milliliter of ink. But it's fine. You fill it up every day. That's what I used to do with my everyday carries, is every night, the pens I was going to use the next day, I just refilled them. It's good to put fresh ink in them. It's good to make certain they're full. You never know how much writing you're going to do in the course of a day. Sometimes I could take 10 pages of notes, depending upon what was going on, telephone conversations, meetings, etc. Thankfully, those days are in my past. Now I just write for absolute fun and enjoyment, and I write whenever I want to. And I write whatever I want to. That's what I do. Let's rate this pen. I'm going to give it an 8.9. So one of the reasons for that rating is this is not a pen many people are going to enjoy. If you like a thin section, if you like a metal pen, then this would work for you, but, it's not going to wow you. I would give the nib 1 check, but not something that I'm going to be able to write many, many pages with. You can see I'm starting to hold it further up because it becomes more comfortable with that barrel, which is a slightly larger diameter than the section. And with that small nib, you can get away with holding it further away from the paper. away from that section. So this is an interesting pen. I'm glad I explored it. It'll go into my section of metal pens that I have in my pen cabinet after I finish up the ink. And it may also go down next to my downstairs desk, which I keep next to a pad, because you never know when I'm using my Chromebook or watching something on the tube and I say, yeah, let me make a note of that. And I do. I've never gotten into putting notes into my phone. Just didn't work for me. Putting them on a piece of paper does work. Helps me remember it. And if I get this little like itching in my brain that says, hey, don't you remember something? I'll go back to my notepad and find it. That's what I do. So, thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this look at a pen that you may not have known existed. And after you watch this video, you may not care that it exists, but hey, I enjoy every pen. I try to understand why it is in existence, why it's in my hand. And this pen does have a particular purpose and use. Not something that just fits into my lifestyle right now. May you find a pen that you enjoy writing with. And if it's this one, great. Price is excellent. Build quality is good. We'll give it a check for build quality. How's that? So I hope all of you are safe, healthy, and happy. Enjoy putting some marks on paper using your pen. Maybe share them with other people. Doesn't hurt. We've reached the end of this video. It starts up right away, very consistent flow. And we'll say bye until the next video. A viewer said they enjoyed the close-up writing, so we're giving you some close-up writing. And that lays down a consistent, nice line.